Welcome to Minot Talk. We know, or I should say, 9 a.m. Tuesday.
We're 2 minutes late.
Well, 1 minute because we have a 1 minute intro.
Yeah,
Okay.
I suppose.
We're actually going to be on Thursday, but it might be an hour early. We'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But you know how we know it's winter at the Dakotan?
How?
When our heater doesn't work anymore. Like, yep. When we have to go to space heaters, it's winter.
That's you don't have the space heater hooked up today.
Not in here, but it's running.
Oh, it's in. Okay, it's the best part is in the deep depths of winter. I'll be sitting in here prepping for the show, and Jonathan just comes in the door dragging his little space heater by the outlet.
Yeah,
like it's his
by
little
the cord,
dog coming behind him.
Taking the space here for a walk. But we are thankful to have Scott Burlingame with us today. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, guys. I'm glad to be here and ready to have some conversation today.
Absolutely. That's what Minot needs more of, this conversation. So there's something that's going on this month. It is Homeless Awareness Month. Is that correct?
Homelessness Awareness Month. There's a lot of S's in that.
Yeah, that's the ness that was getting me even when I was spelling it for the show. I was
Yeah.
like, homelessness. Can't forget that. But Homelessness Awareness Month, kind of in Minot. This is something I think sometimes it gets brought to the attention. Mm-hmm. Summer and winter kind of just all goes away. It's all fixed because of the cold, and you see a little bit. But this is definitely an issue that's worth bringing some highlights to, kind of break it down, how this affects Minot.
Yeah, it's interesting because homelessness across the country has been on the rise the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. But Minot has also seen that increase of that as well. And it is oftentimes hidden in our city for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of ways, but we do have a homeless population. We have some homeless providers in our community that do a really good job. And maybe throughout the day today, we can talk about that. But at the same time, we have some pretty big holes in that as well. And some folks that aren't being served and the kind of the hodgepodge of all that. And I think that I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, there were some tents that went up in the parking lot between the courthouse and Milton Young Tower.
Okay.
And that was a very public and very much discussed view of homelessness. Now, those of us that work in the industry, that work with people with homelessness, we weren't that surprised that it happened, but it really created that community conversation a little bit. And a lot of that community conversation wasn't necessarily the most well-informed. I mean, there was a lot of kind of myths that people believe about homelessness in Minot that I think, maybe I'll have the opportunity to kind of talk about a little bit and share some of the facts.
Right. No, that'd be good. Definitely something important.
Yeah, without a doubt. Shout out to Mayor Mark Janser last night proclaiming November Homelessness Awareness Month here in Minot. City Council meeting took place last night, of course.
Let's play the clip.
And,
you introduced Mayor Janser. Let's play the clip.
Jonathan's got it ready.
Item 3 is the mayor's report. First of all, I have a proclamation. Whereas the Minot Alliance to End Homelessness is a coalition of local nonprofit organizations dedicated to supporting the unhoused members of our community, including 38 individuals during winter months of early 2025 and 41 individuals during the summer of 2025, and working together to help solve the homelessness crisis in Minot. And whereas numerous nonprofit agencies collectively collaborate to prevent and end homelessness, serving countless local individuals and acknowledging there are many more unhoused individuals in our community who remain unserved. And whereas homelessness has steadily increased in North Dakota, including in Minot, due to a variety of social and economic factors, and the issues we face in Minot are not unique to our community, requiring consistent collaboration to create sustainable long-term solutions for those experiencing homelessness in our community. Now therefore do I, Mark Janser, Mayor of Minot, hereby proclaim November as Homelessness Awareness Month and encourage all Minot residents to support local agencies working to secure a safe environment for those experiencing homelessness in our community, and to recognize that every resident can play a role in reducing the homelessness in Minot by financially supporting appropriate agencies and volunteering to help organizations overcome the challenges surrounding homelessness. We have some folks from the Homeless Coalition here, and I'd like them to come forward, and I'll present this proclamation to you.
So that was cool. It's always neat to get a proclamation from the mayor.
Yeah, absolutely. Any opportunity that we have for something like this to just raise awareness and talk about it is very good. And then, you guys give me the opportunity to come on here today and talk about it a little more.
And what is your guys' group name again?
So it's the Minot Alliance to End Homelessness.
Okay.
And if you guys don't mind me, I'll tell you a little how that came about.
Yep.
So as I don't know if you guys were quite doing this show yet or not, but in December of 2023, our largest homeless shelter in Minot Project B closed abruptly.
Yep.
And this group kind of came from the shadows of that because as we found out that we were going to have the people that were housed there homeless in an emergency situation very quickly, a few days before Christmas, this group got together and started kind of troubleshooting around that. And then as time has went on, we've continued to meet and kind of recently made the decision that we're going to maybe formalize it a little bit more in order to be sort of a hub, if you will, of providers and folks that support ending homelessness in our community. So that's sort of the history of that group.
Yeah, no, very powerful. All right, so what do you guys do? How can you support? What's this? There's stigma around it, but let's get into the nitty gritty here. So let's start here. What is the focus of this group to and how can that happen?
So yeah,
broad question.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is, I think addressing homelessness is extraordinarily complex because you can imagine the issues that cause homelessness are extraordinarily complex. And this group has a lot of the different providers. And I work at Independence Incorporated. We're not a homeless provider.
Sure.
But we do serve people who are homeless
Yep.
because of the kind of intersection of homelessness and mental health issues. But you have organizations like the Men's Winter Refuge that does a great job. They serve men during the winter months who can pass a background check, so who probably don't have a history of at least being violently, criminally involved. And people that can pass breathalyzer tests are men, of course. And so that's a great opportunity for them. We have YouthWorks as part of our group, and YouthWorks does a great job, as you can imagine from their name, with youth, being able to help youth who are homeless in order to find housing. We have Community Action as part of our group, and Community Action has a couple of programs. One that works really great with veterans. We have, they have another program that works to find housing and transitional services for other people that are homeless. Salvation Army, Minot Area Homeless Coalition. We have a lot of these different agencies, and I feel like I'm forgetting another large one right now, so my apologies. But we still end up with people that are just not served, people who have a history of criminal backgrounds, people who are in active addiction, people who have been evicted, women. I know what the other one is, the family homeless shelter, which hasn't actually opened yet.
Okay.
Just last week, I had a call on somebody that was a family looking for housing, and they're not quite open yet. So there's not a lot of options out there right now. So there's this kind of gap in services. So we get together to make sure that we're not duplicating what each other are already doing. But also to what can we do to address this issue and kind of bring awareness to it or address those issues moving forward. So
one big thing I know a lot of people think about when they think of homelessness is it means someone's just living on the street corner. Homelessness is a lot broader of a subject matter than just that.
And that's also why there's so much fluidity behind homelessness, and especially in this area. And you guys think back to the flood when it happened in Minot, and roughly 20 to 25% of our town was underwater, and we had, I think, at the peak something like 179 people in a homeless or in a
the auditorium.
Yes. Yeah. And that was like at the peak, and most nights there was almost none. It's because we do have this spirit of like helping out our neighbors, and that is important. And that does happen even within the homeless world as well. But you develop what's called couch surfing. And so you stay at somebody's house for a few days, and then maybe you stay outside for a few days, and then maybe you find somebody that'll pay for a hotel for a few days, and then maybe, you know, and so within kind of folks that are struggling with homelessness, there's a lot of that. And so that's a large percentage of people too that aren't usually even counted. And when we talk about it, is those people that do that are folks that work with students who are dealing with homelessness. Will tell you that number's pretty high. Those numbers of couch surfing for families, and it's hard. So
what contributes to that? I think the classic thing that you hear a lot with this is, somebody just needs to go get a job.
Yeah, that was just what I was going to go
That's
down to.
where people go to, but in Minot, I mean, get an entry level home to rent. It seems like it's $900 or something. I don't know. It's just. It's
I
crazy.
have some facts here. Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I actually just got this morning. So Americans Community Survey said that in Minot, the median rent on a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,005 a month. In order to afford that apartment, you need to earn $19.33 an hour. So there's a large percentage of jobs in this community that do not pay $19.33 an hour. So some folks are being able to get, you know, housing subsidies, live in low income housing and stuff like that. However, as I said earlier, that may not be available if you have a criminal history, if you have a history of eviction, if you have, you know, a variety of other kind of housing barriers that exist. So housing is expensive. We were talking earlier today about how you guys had Jeff Hader on here last week, and I thought he did a fantastic job. But homelessness is directly related to housing costs. For every $100 that rent goes up, you have a 9% increase in homelessness. Wow. And so over the last few years, as we've saw this increase in housing prices, we've saw the increase in homelessness as well. And then, of course, you look at the intersection of homelessness and addiction and mental health issues as well. We have crises in both of those areas as well. So there's a lot of different factors that have really contributed to this.
But something that's interesting, I think, it makes the situation more complex, is we have crises in those addiction in those areas. But when somebody is trying to make those steps where they went through recovery, and whatever that process looks for them, now they're ready to, hey, let's go get a job. They have that. Let's go rent a house. They can't.
Yep. And it's interesting because, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this before, you get people, and I heard about this a lot when I was on city council, like you've got these former hotels on the north side and they're not their best. Right. But unfortunately, what you just talked about is exactly right, Jonathan, is that you have people that maybe go through recovery, maybe go through treatment, and now they want to get out, but they can't find a place to live. And the only place they can find to live is places like that. Well, those might, the old saying is you can't really get healthy in the same environment you got sick in.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there might not be another alternative. And we have unfortunately had to provide support to people who live there because they just do not have another option. And so, whereas I agree, I live on Northside. I want to see Northside safe and clean and everything else. But also, we have to figure out how we're going to solve that problem first. Right. And then, allow the free market to, as other options become available, and, let the market work as it will. Yeah.
Are there any things as a community people can do to help alleviate that issue in the immediate kind of sense? Obviously, there's a lot of long-term things that can be done, but immediately this year kind of thing.
Well, first off, what I would say is really do your best to hold back judgment on doing things like don't just get a job. One of the stories that happened here in town last summer was that we had kind of the homeless island that existed for a while. If you missed that, there was an island. I didn't know we had an island on the Souris River, but apparently we do. And a large number of folks who are homeless were living there. And there were some real problems with that, and the county shut it down, as I think they were justified to do. However, one of the realities was when they went there during the day, there wasn't a lot of people there because they actually were working.
Sure.
Wow.
I've dealt with many homeless people who, are taking showers, or cleaning their clothes in the bathroom at work, or just cleaning up and then going back and sleeping in their car again. There's a lot of folks that do have jobs, but it's just that issue up. I think that there's a lot of opportunities to contribute, as the mayor said during his proclamation, to the different organizations that help homelessness. The more you can spread that around, the better, because each of these organizations do a little bit to make a difference. And then, but again, be careful with how you pass judgment, because, the average American is 2 paychecks away from being homeless. Yeah. It could be any of us, unfortunately, at any point. And, some of us are blessed with some really good opportunities that we may not have that happen to us. And maybe we aren't struggling with addiction or mental health. But the reality is that, it could happen to any of us.
Hey, reality, and maybe this isn't very good because it brings in national stuff, is that we just went through a government shutdown where that extended it the longest ever. Mm-hmm. And there were some people that were starting to get very concerned about, how they're going to make rent and how they're going to do that things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately we live in a country where we don't have big savings accounts, right, and you don't have a lot of plans, and it can happen fast.
Yeah, for sure.
And one other thing with this whole issue with homelessness too is this isn't something that's isolated to Minot. And a lot of times in the state of North Dakota, the bigger cities like Fargo and Bismarck have gotten a lot more of the attention on that issue. And we've even now seen, I believe it was last week, the governor himself is now starting is it a committee or a coalition to address the homelessness issue in North Dakota.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And the legislature did a really good job this year of significantly increasing the amount of money that they put into homelessness. And I applaud them for that. But as I talked about earlier, we have these holes in homelessness that we don't serve. And unfortunately for that, a lot of that it was an increase, I think, from $2 million to $10 million in appropriations. But most of that is not going to come to Minot because we don't actually, you have to have a facility to actually serve people before you can get that money. So it's going to go to those bigger cities that have, more services. And sometimes we can help people out. Men's Winter Refuge does a good job, and Homeless Coalition, if people want to move to another area where there is shelter, that's fantastic. But sometimes people can't move. Sometimes this is where your family is, or this is where your job is, or maybe you're on probation and this is where your probation officer tells you have to live. Right. There's a lot of different reasons why leaving isn't always an option. And so, as it increases in other communities, it doesn't necessarily all trickle down to Minot the way we would like. So.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting deal though, because basically what you're saying is we have a problem with this, but because of the expense of living in Minot, people say it's cheap to live in North Dakota. It's always interesting to me, and it probably is on national averages.
So it's a relative kind of thing, yeah.
I feel like there's some place in Indiana that's a little cheaper.
West Virginia or something.
That's Kyla Kids Design, West Virginia. Anyways, back to more topics at hand. That there's literally a hole in the setup for our how we take care of these things. Where families they're just out to sea. They have no chance of actually being served adequately in the Minot area
as
to get on their feet.
Yeah. As a family unit.
And it's interesting. I am so excited about whatever day, and I hope it could be any day now, that my understanding is they're working on hiring staff right now for Broadway Circle. I'm so excited. I have been involved with that going back to 2014. And the reason is, I've told this story many times, is that at that time I had, my son was, I believe, in about junior high at that time, and he had a family of 5 that became homeless. That was his, and so his friends came and stayed with us a few days as the family tried to find another place. And it was just such a glaring example of how we had this hole in our ability to serve homelessness. If the mother would have been able at that time to have gotten services at what was then the YWCA, I can't even remember if Men's Winter Refuge was open yet at that time. The younger children could have went to YWCA, but the older men, our boys, had nothing. And those are holes that still exist. And this is sometimes the worst time of somebody's life. They've became homeless, and then we're going to rip the family apart. Yeah. That just seems so counterproductive and counterintuitive to what we need to do in order to help prevent future homelessness, and also to prevent future addiction and future mental health issues and things like that. So
try to break that cycle.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I want to point out, you just mentioned West Virginia there. And it's funny because that triggered a little memory or a little fact in my head. Is oftentimes, of course, mental health and addiction are tied to homelessness. And we understand that West Virginia has one of the highest rates of mental health and one of the highest rates of addiction and one of the lowest rates of homelessness. Wow. And it is because of the cost of housing.
Wow.
That's interesting.
It's very closely related on that.
Yeah.
So
that's a really interesting point. Okay, so you kind of already answered this in your previous statement, because I was going to ask what are the main causes that lead into homelessness? I think people would automatically say addiction, and that's probably a huge one. But there's got to be more than just that. So from what you guys have seen.
There's no question that it is, homelessness is caused by, I would say, 3 primary factors: poverty, mental health, and addiction. And beyond that, I would say probably the 4th one of that would be like domestic violence. Sure. Those would be probably the 4 most likely causes that I would say of homelessness. And they're all intertwined in different ways for different folks. You don't see a lot of folks that have a lot of money who have, are super healthy and are in a safe environment that are homeless. And but furthermore, though, that homelessness can oftentimes be prolonged because of those things. So a great example of this is I'm homeless, I'm hungry, I'm cold, and so I go into a store and I steal something. All of a sudden now I've got a criminal charge as well.
Yep.
And now because of this criminal charge, I can't get into a lot of places. Yep. So then I'm hungry and I'm cold, so I decide, I have $10 in my pocket. And one of those, you guys ever have those like moments in life when you can just look back on and like your position like changes just like that? Years and years ago, I was at touring a homeless shelter, and there was a pastor that was giving a shelter, and I was that guy that was super judgy about addiction at that point in my life. And I said, I bet you sure have a lot of people that, drink a lot that come in here or whatever. And he looked at me and he said, Scott, remember this. So you're given $20 or $10, just say $10. And you can run down to McDonald's and maybe buy a meal, know. Now I'm super cheap. I could get 2 of those $5 meals for $10, but maybe that, maybe you decided to get a Big Mac meal, which nowadays is $10 or a little over probably. And with that, you're going to have you're going to feel full, but you're going to be hungry again in a few hours.
Yep.
There's not a heck of a lot of nutrition in it. Or you can run down and buy a cheap bottle of wine. And that cheap bottle of wine is also going to make you feel full. It's not healthy full. It's also going to kill some pain. It's going to help you sleep.
It's going to kill some time too.
Yes. And you realize that, that you're going to try to kill some of those things because you're in a pretty bad point in life. Or maybe that is, slowly you realize that if you get your hands on some illegal narcotics, that they're going to kill that pain. They're going to kill that hunger, and they're going to, make it go away for a little bit. That, you begin to realize why some of this stuff happens. And you realize that's part of this cause. So whereas, homelessness can be a cause, it can also be a reason for continuing homelessness as well, is that those issues get much worse. And I'm a big believer in housing first, and it's interesting. Unfortunately, right now, nationally, it's getting a little bit controversial, but I believe that if you can help somebody get housing, then you can begin to focus on the mental health. You can begin to focus on the addiction. Just as I said earlier, you can't get healthy in this environment you're sick in. If you're homeless, you're probably not the best environment to find sobriety. It's probably not the best environment to work on your mental health, because you are surviving minute by minute at times and just trying to get by. You don't have the time to pay attention to the long term. And I know this also because I've talked to numerous people who have experienced homelessness, who've experienced addiction, and came out on the other side. And the ones who come out and are now housed and are doing well, talk about how hard it was at that moment and how they weren't thinking about their future at that time.
Yeah. So last week we have a guy, Joe. I say a guy. We have Jeff Hyder on, and he did a fantastic job, and he's already been mentioned today. But and we talk about how we have 2 big projects coming to Minot, and it's going to bring in these thousands of people, and it's exciting for Minot, and I'm sure you as a Minot resident are excited about that. But when you look at it through the lens into the scope of homelessness, does this make you concerned?
So it's interesting because, again, going back to, and Jeff and you guys talked about this last week, you compare it to like oil boom or post flood when there was such a shortage of housing at that time. You also saw 2 things. You did see an increase in homelessness, just not even a level now, but you just saw it. But you also saw people that are homeless from other communities coming here because of the opportunity. And that can be a good thing because, you can have people that come here maybe, and I know Mike at the Men's Winter Refuge will tell stories like this of guys that come here, that he allows them to stay there during the winter. They can build up a little bit of savings. They can actually get into an apartment, and then they become permanent employees. And we need people like that. I mean, I welcome that in every day. But it also can be if you're somebody that's struggling with addiction, if you're somebody that, is looking to profit off of people struggling with addiction, AKA dealers. I mean, it can bring in some problems as well that can kind of lead to homelessness. And housing costs going up again increases homelessness.
Right.
So it's all related. So as you guys, and I've had this conversation with some of my friends that work with homeless people. I'm like, we need to support all housing. We need to support the $350,000 houses being built and the affordable housing being built.
That's fair. Well, so one interesting point off of that was Jeff made a point last week saying that a newly built starter home effectively costs $300,000 today.
Yep.
What would affordable housing be in that sense? Or what would a more acceptable idea of affordable housing
Yeah, and
be
I
in that
actually
sense?
looked at that. So I wrote down 350. So for that, you're going to need about $80,000 to $120,000 in annual salary.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that are homeless that are going to be able to do that. And
Not a
again,
lot of people working there can be able to do that.
yeah,
It's a lot of money.
It's unreal, isn't it? And just how quickly that's went up. And the other thing, sorry, I'm just going to side note here, but
you're good.
If interest rates begin to drop, you talk to realtors in town, and they tell you that there's a lot of people sitting on houses that they want to upgrade, but they won't because of high interest rates. So if interest rates drop, there's going to be a lot of people looking for new housing, and when people are looking for new housing, it drives prices up even more. So there's factors there. But yeah, I mean, again, going back to that $1,000 a month. So you look at 30% roughly is the number you look at what you want to pay for housing.
Sure.
So that's where you end up with that $19.33 an hour for an entry level. Now there are some like studio apartments in town,
Of course,
So
yeah.
they're going to be more in that $600, $650 level.
Yeah.
Then you're still looking at $12.40 an hour, and there are jobs that pay more than that, and there's plenty, but there are some still that don't in Minot, and those are your entry level jobs that are going to hire somebody that maybe doesn't have a great work history, or maybe doesn't have a good, the best work ethic or whatever.
They need warm bodies to fill the space.
Yeah,
And it doesn't,
yeah.
they're not as picky as who that is at that stage.
Yep. And again, we need all levels of employment in this community too. Those jobs need to be filled as well. And but
It may come someday, but McDonald's, Taco Bell, all of those places don't have automation in their kitchens.
Right.
Like, we need people to work at all of these places.
And it's always, you'll see every once in a while, like McDonald's will put out and be like, now hiring $20 an hour, $19.15, whatever it is. And then you realize that's only like for the 2 hours over lunch that they get paid that much. And then the rest of the time they go back down to like $12 an hour. And there's a lot of different factors in that. So
Yeah.
Very interesting. That leads into a whole nother conversation of wages and whatever.
Also
employment.
shows how everything's just kind of intertwined in that way.
It is. It's such an infrastructure, or that environment around all of this is so closely related, and it's hard sometimes to see the forest through the trees when you're dealing with that person in your office that is homeless tonight. Right. But to be like, we need to talk about building more $350,000 houses. What?
Yeah, right. Well, Minot has a very unique weather climate. Well, it's a northern weather climate, and so that puts a different effect on homelessness. But life is also stressful, and it seems like just as things have developed over the last 25, 30 years, it has really increased the stresses. And it's just to live a regular life. There's just stress to live a regular life now. Yeah. And I think that also weighs on people from the mental standpoint as well.
Absolutely. And that goes along with, again, the next kind of web of what we talk about is mental health providers. And so I talked earlier about how I support housing first, but I also believe it should be housing first and support forever, or for at least as long as it's needed. And it's that part that has failed. That's part of the reason nationally it's getting to be a little bit less popular, is that we're going to get you into quick housing and then we're going to just let you be. Gotcha. And then you're shocked when people don't get better. You need to provide ongoing support, and we work with, what's soon to be called the Behavioral Health Clinic here in town. It used to be a human service center a lot. They're a major part, but they'll be the first to tell you they're short staffed. Sure. The lack of providers for mental health services is also closely related to this. So there's and then if you're going to bring in mental health providers, you have to have a place for them to live. And then it comes back to housing. It is all intertwined.
Incredibly. Yep. Right now we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back to talk a little more of this and some stuff around city,
state, all the things.
So it'll be a good time. We'll be back in a minute and a half.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
I'm hungry.
Also,
Always.
heads up with New Mexico. I'm pretty sure that the outdoor patio's closed now.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
fair.
Yeah.
We'll switch out there.
Yeah. But still, check them out. Go inside. Great dining area inside New Mexico. Love it there. Great vibes.
Outdoor patio could stay open this week.
It
It
could-
hasn't been terrible.
It could fit.
Next week, there
North
might be
Dakotans
snow.
would live with it.
Yeah, we're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very tough when it comes to
betcha.
weather. We hang in there on purpose just to be stubborn about the weather.
For sure.
Next week, snow.
Oh,
You're going to shave your head if it doesn't.
no. No.
You're done
It's
shaving your
your
head?
turn. I think we got to
No.
do something for you to grow a beard or something.
No, I'll take it in the face. But I took a water on my head.
Yeah, and
that
I-
was pretty substantial.
Oh, yeah. That was something.
Was all right. A little
Anyways,
more
yes.
on
On
homelessness. Mental health. Let's go down a little bit more. What are you seeing? Is it the pressures of life? Is it other things that are coming into play? How does it actually affect somebody there?
Yeah, ooh, what a great question. Is that now this is gonna be the one I'm gonna pop up, at 2 a.m. in the morning and be like, this is how we should have answered that.
Of course.
I do think it is. There's a lot of issues that can come to this, and it's always interesting to me when people think they have that kind of. This is the answer. You'll hear like maybe it's lack of family structure, and I'll be like, yeah, and maybe it is, issues around
Exactly.
how kids are raised or how people are raised, or I think it's a little bit of yes ands on those. I think that I really will equate it a lot to just the lack of community that exists in today's world. It's so weird how we're so connected because we can text anybody anywhere in the world and get an answer back, and we have all this information, but yet we've lost a little bit of human connection.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of it comes down to is that people are lonely, and then loneliness is filled by, either bad thoughts in your head or doing bad things or unhealthy things. And I really think that the loneliness epidemic is a major part of it.
Yeah, I think that's
No,
something that
that makes
people are
sense.
only going to keep to further figure out that issue as time unfolds here too. But if anyone is in a mental health crisis in Minot, what can they? Obviously, 988, great service.
Yes.
Is there anything in Minot they can that they can go to help with that as well?
988 is the right place to start, and they have the crisis team. They can respond, if they need to come out. That connects you to the Human Behavioral Health Clinic. One of the things that I'm glad to see the state doing, and Minot is going to be the first, is really rebranding their human service centers as behavioral health clinics to address that need. I think, when in doubt, reach out. Reach out to people. And if you reach out to somebody and they don't respond right, reach out to somebody else. Advocate for yourself. I myself, just like millions of other Americans have from time to time struggled with mental health issues. And it's not easy. Your brain is telling you some things that aren't necessarily true. But, the thing I always tell people is you're loved in ways you cannot begin to understand, and that people do truly care about you, and you do have impact in this world, and you just need to find that, that help that you deserve.
Yep. People they have to understand they're not alone in their struggles. Other people are probably experiencing something similar, and you do have that ability to reach out and find someone out there to talk to that's had or is having a similar situation as you.
And one of the things I'm proud to see is the growth in peer support, because you don't have to necessarily be a person with a master's level therapy degree or psychology degree or,
Whatever it may
to help
be,
people
yeah.
out. And sometimes the best person is somebody who's, been there before and knows the way out and is helping somebody. And, at Independence, we're a peer-led organization. So over half of our board staff and management staff are people with lived experience. And what we say all the time is like, you've figured out your path, help show somebody else their path.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's powerful. Megan says, "Hey, I just met Scott's wife this morning. What a wonderful lady. Thanks for all you do, Scott."
Shout out.
Thank you, Megan.
Shout out to Scott. You switching topics. You had a little controversy I guess we both found yesterday.
I thought the Facebook one, right? Not the city council thing.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So on Facebook, scrolling through yesterday, I think we noticed that there was So the Minot Daily News does a big community award kind of thing every year, and a friend of the show, K-Hits 106.9, put out a big Facebook post saying how DJ Tom Schrader was nominated for one of the categories.
Yeah, and so it sounds like the nomination process works where you get nominated, then it gets approved, put out on the website, and then voting starts, right?
That would be my assumption.
That's the way it looked.
Yep. Someone from the public nominates.
So you can't add anybody. My point is you can't add anybody you want right now.
Not at this point, no.
Yeah, that already happened. And then voting began on that list that had been kind of filtered through.
Yeah. And so you fast forward to yesterday, which was the start of the voting. Afternoon comes around, and apparently Tom Schrader's name falls off the list. Yeah. And
Tom disappeared.
so you look into the issue, and the confusion stemmed from the nomination was for DJ services. So it's going to be people you'll see at a wedding, things like that, DJs that can come provide mobile entertainment. And
like Tom could do that.
Oh, he could for a fact, but rather than a disc jockey in the more traditional sense of DJ. And so I think that's where the confusion was. But I think the real issue, and K-Hits posted about this on their Facebook page, is how it was more the handling of the issue. It was taken down without comment or note, and
he's gone.
It was just removed. And I don't think, had there been, some conversation and dialogue there, I don't think there would have been any issues. But I think the issue really stemmed from the abruptness and the lack of communication there.
Minot Daily News and K-Hits will get that part figured out, but I think Tom is going to win. Just looking at the amount of comments that you had on the on the post that K-Hits was posting, Tom was going to get a lot of votes.
And my thought now on this too is K-Hits endorsed someone for that.
Yeah, they did. Well, they won.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is if that's going to be the winner now.
They endorsed the person that kind of explained
the situation,
perhaps what happened. Who was also a DJ, which goes back to the apparent lack of communication there. But yeah, no, that's always interesting. It is season where you get to go and vote for who's the best of the best in Minot.
I have one nitpick on that as a whole that probably isn't necessary, but
probably not.
So you have around, Bismarck is my most notable one. If you're driving into or out of Bismarck, you're going to see a billboard that says,
who does this one though? That's my question for you, because you're going to go down a long rabbit hole, and I interrupt you at the very beginning. Who does the best of the best in Bismarck?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
but
because we're assuming that the Tribune does it,
or someone of that, or something of that nature. But my thought is, why doesn't Minot have? Because they have best insurance agent, best like car salesman. Why not best? Best blanket term news anchor, or media presenter. I'm not saying it would be us by any stretch. I think someone like a Tom Schrader or a Joe Skrzyszewski would be a phenomenal get for that.
Exactly.
However, we don't have one in here, and I just that brought up a question in my mind.
Is it too much competition because Minot Daily News is the ones putting it on, and they don't want to? They're a news source. They don't want to.
Hey, Scott, you said it, not me.
No, Scott, I think you're spot on. It is the Bismarck Tribune that does it,
okay,
which is fine. So, but Minot Daily, just consider it. I think it'd be cool because the whole point of it, I think, is that it's a fun thing. Mm-hmm. What does it? It matters. People post it. They go, and so I'm not like diminishing that it doesn't matter, but I'm also saying it's also kind of just a fun thing.
Yes,
where it's.
You can argue
I'm the best of the best, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not like somebody's putting this on their LinkedIn profile, going and saying that, I was nominated by my peers and this is like an Academy Award. Mm-hmm. But this is something that it's still a big deal. You see people post 5 or 6 plaques in their building. It's a huge deal. And it just creates that neat camaraderie in the city, though.
And you know what? It helps create good news. And we need good news in today's world.
You're right.
Yep. Well, actually, to be fair, the last 6 weeks, Minot's had a great run. But the year before that, it was an interesting stretch for Minot.
We take it month by month here.
Yes.
Yeah, for a fact.
No, that was an interesting thing that was going around.
Yeah, that was the big social media thing from yesterday, I would say.
Big stuff that came out of City Council. Not big stuff, but obviously we talked about one of the big things, but there's a couple other things that came out of City Council. We'll be talking about that more on Thursday, giving a full recap.
Community survey was out.
This is a big deal right here.
And there was some
getting still running down the results on that.
Yep. And then I did check this morning. The link is working now, so I can toy around and mess with everything on their website. That is it. The data nerd in me is going to go crazy with that. On top of that, we saw the city council discuss the tracks building by the new hospital and their default on that. That whole process is moving forward. On top of that, the most interesting part of the night was towards the end, and there was a little back and forth between Alderman Pittner and Fuller, and with a discussion of effectively, if a sidewalk needed to be built in a development that's being built kind of west of the Minot North High School. Outside of that, it was a relatively quiet meeting.
other than all the high points, it's pretty calm. Yeah, fair. Okay, sounds good. And then another big update is we released yesterday kind of a neat interview with Ben Wetmore on the Dunseith debacle that we've been tracking for over a year now.
Yeah, time flies.
We finally get to say over a year. Ben Wetmore is connected with Project Veritas, so really neat person to be able to interview.
Also an attorney.
Attorney, journalist. Yep. He's got a great resume. But neat person to get some outside perspective on the story that has developed there, and someone that has seen other, maybe not stories like that one, but unique things that pop up where there's a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of different storylines going on, and getting his perspective. So I'd encourage you to go back and watch that. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. We'll be getting some shorts out on it. He also released an article on our website. You can go to mydakotan.com and you can read that article where it kind of just breaks down the story overview and a few storylines that come from it. So
I've been trying to write that article for a year, but my skill set is not nearly what Ben Wetmore's is. But if I can be that in 20 years, I'd be happy. Yeah, but fair. Shout out to Ben. Great interview. Like Jonathan said, make sure you check out that article on mydakotan.com.
And we'll have more stuff on. We have a plan to have a few more releases on the Dunseith stuff over the next few weeks.
Yeah, make sure to be following along for some more interviews that'll be dropping.
Because we have major updates that are going to start popping out due to the lawsuit that's been filed. There's supposed to be a response from the state any day now, which will get us to the next step in the process. So definitely follow along for a fun ride.
Without a doubt. It's been fun so far. I look forward to the future of it.
Yeah.
On top of that, though, Scott, thanks for coming on again. But is there any final kind of things you want to talk about with homelessness you want to address before we kind of start moving on?
You know, one of my favorite I threw out a lot of my favorite little factoids here today, but one of the things is that whenever we start talking about it, again, as we said earlier, you talk about the kind of intersection of homelessness, addiction, poverty, and mental health. You know, here's some numbers. There's about 150,000 adults in North Dakota who live with mental illness. 37,000 have serious mental illness. 20% of that population struggles with, 20% of our population struggles with addiction, and about 11% live in poverty. Thousands more have felony convictions or criminal records, yet only 865 people in our state are counted as homeless. The reality is we know how to house people that have felonies. We know, people with felonies can have housing, people with mental health and serious mental health can have housing, people with addiction can have housing. We need to figure out for those 865 people that we counted last year, for each one of those, we need to figure out what the solution is for that. And it's probably going to be different. There's not one answer that's going to solve all of it. I think that's important. And then during the mayor's part, he talked about kind of the numbers in Minot, and that's called, there's a point in time that's done twice a year. And a few of us get together and we'll take volunteers if somebody really wants to do that. And we go around, it's like in the evenings and try to find homeless people.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And we try to count them, literally, like how many can we count? And we know it's not 100% accurate number because you can't find everybody and people are extraordinarily good. But one of those is done in the middle of winter, and you find people that are living under bridges with a propane space heater. You find people that have tons of clothes on and are kind of stuffed into little nooks and crannies around town. Even in the winter here, we do have people living outside, and we've been blessed so far that we haven't lost anybody that I know of because of that. But it's going to happen, and that's what keeps us trying.
And I think that's one thing Jonathan kind of touched on earlier. But one of the biggest misconceptions, at least locally, with homelessness is that it goes away in the winter.
Yeah.
You don't see it, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But in all reality, it is still there.
And the creativity and the ingenuity of these folks to try to stay warm is amazing. I mean, there was one case where we had a person who had dug a hole essentially and then covered up the hole with a piece of cardboard and then puts plywood and then covered stuff up, and then he would kind of go down in there and pull this over him and had his little propane heater down. None of that is safe, but he survived an entire winter in Minot that way.
That's incredible.
Certainly not OSHA approved.
No. And
Sounds good. Those numbers are staggering when
Yeah.
you look at how small our state is.
Yeah.
150,000 struggle with mental illness or something like that.
Out of
that's
a hair under 800,000 total
Right.
people.
Yeah.
That's
That's a lot.
Which is also why, as I talked about it, like if you want help or if you need help, you're not alone.
No.
Like it is not that uncommon of a thing, and the stigma around it oftentimes it's like it's an enhancer. It's like mental health is bad enough, but if the stigma tends to make things worse because we don't get help or we feel guilty, and then there's people that are like, well, I don't have mental health issues, so therefore it can't be real, or have you thought about thinking positively or going for a walk, and those things
Done that.
don't hurt, but that
There's a
doesn't
bigger
cure
issue
it.
at hand. Yeah.
And so just if you need help, get it, and you deserve it, and I think that the more we can do to talk about that, the better we are.
Helping that stigma is huge. One person I love to follow that I think does a great job of that is NBA player Kevin Love.
Yes.
Former Minnesota Timberwolf. If you haven't heard his story, definitely go check it out. He does a phenomenal job trying to help promote the mental health crisis.
Chills right now as you say that, because 100% agree with you, and having that ability as a man, as a sports elite level athlete, being able to talk so openly about mental health is extraordinarily important. And by the way, last week I appreciated your guys' Timberwolves talk as a long suffering Timberwolves fan. Appreciate it a lot.
I love it.
Literally, I have them pulled up on my screen right now because I was going to talk about the Timberwolves.
Look at that. See, it's all, we totally planned that out.
Yes.
Totally planned out this
That's
amazing
swears.
segue, but I want to make sure that we're done on the homeless talk. Is there anything else that you want to add on that, or we pretty well covered it?
I think we've hit on a lot of the important things. I think that the Minot Alliance to End Homelessness has a Facebook page. If you want to, jump on there, we try to share information. A lot of different agencies that do a really good job, and I didn't get to talk about all of them today, but that's not an intentional oversight. It's just there's a lot of good things being done, and there's also a lot of needs that continue to exist.
Very good. Appreciate that. We'll talk about Timberwolves here in a minute. Do want to say this weekend at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
Festival of Trees is happening. You can go to festofTrees.com to learn more. Friday it starts. You can go there, get pictures with Santa. On, I believe, Saturday there's a live petting zoo. On Saturday you can go for a 5K run, or you can just do a mile, Amazing Race style. You can go and jump in bouncy castles. You can go to a dinner. It costs admissions like $10 for the whole thing.
There's a live and a silent auction, right?
Live inside the silent auction, I think already began. So there you go. Go to festofTrees.com to learn more.
Are you going to be there?
Dude, it's still up in the air, man. Are you going to be there?
If you're, I for sure will be. I got like a 2.5 hour gap in work that I got blocked off, so I can. I won't be able to run, but I'll go there. If
you won't be able to run.
Well, literally, and
that was the whole point.
Well, I can I'll do something. Whatever. I'll show up and I'll do whatever you do.
We'll see what
that?
happens. We might have a clip of Kyler or I doing something.
Me just puking and heaving in the corner. Yeah, it'll be great.
Because he ran. That's why. Because he ran. But yeah, definitely go to festofTrees.com. Sounds like a ton of fun. If you're looking for something family friendly to do as you kick off the year, this is it.
Great event.
So
and Minot has like the best Santa Claus in the state.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just saying.
Yeah.
The real one, you mean?
Exactly. He is the. That's why he's the best.
Right. So it's not in the state.
Yeah, we got the best Santa south of the North Pole.
I thought he was from the north.
Well, yeah, he has to come visit. He's not there now.
He knows Minot. I mean, the environment here is acceptable for him.
Exactly. He can tolerate this.
Yep.
Very excellent. Jeff says Scott is such a great role model in our community. Can't say enough great things about him.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that, and I'm a big fan of Jeff as well. So
there we go. See, we need best of the best and vote for people. It'd be a fun time.
Exactly.
All right, T-Wolves.
Yeah, speaking of Jeff too. Yes,
yeah,
T-Wolves.
he loves the T-Wolves. He spurred the T-Wolves hat last week. Timberwolves took it to the Mavericks, man.
Nice.
120.
That's the Mavericks right now.
They're
Super
train
flat.
wreck.
Finally fired their GM like 6 months too late.
Yeah.
And
what a terrible move.
Yeah, what a terrible move that sets a franchise back. I mean, they're still paying so much salary without the good player.
Yeah.
Oh, what a mess.
Yeah. Now, and as a Lakers fan, love Anthony Davis, but you trade for one of the most perpetually injured guys in the league, and now, you're stuck with him. Of course, naturally, he comes in and there's been, I believe, 45 or 46 total games he has been eligible to play for the Mavericks. He's played 14 so far.
Isn't that
Like,
Yeah. And just what was your thought process that acquiring him based on potential, but ignoring all of the injuries
to Anthony Davis
with that salary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, your other superstar tore his ACL and he's in his 30s. Like Kyrie
Yes.
Irving's great, but I mean, his comeback, if he's able to be, 90% of what he was, I think that's a win.
Did you see Luka take the shot at Anthony Davis? There was this picture where Anthony Davis was looking
He's a little chunky.
like he'd put on some weight, and that was the criticism that Luka was receiving, that he was putting on too much weight.
Yeah.
He's like, the food's good down there, isn't it?
I did not see that.
It's
That's
that
hilarious.
Dallas food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Dallas food. That was some good stuff. Now you guys, the T-Wolves struggled a little bit against the Nuggets. That's
did.
where the best team in the North debate comes up. Is the Nuggets far enough north to be considered North, or is that not quite North?
In NBA standards, I would say it's North. In general
Okay.
standards, I don't know.
So got some work to do. No,
Yeah.
I honestly love Ant. I love Anthony Edwards.
Ant-Man's the man.
As a basketball player, I think he's great. And so
It's so great to have who I believe is the best player in the NBA on my team.
Yeah, that's cool.
After so many years of not having that and just seeing the culture around that. And when you're around like true greatness like that, like
Yeah.
the stories you hear about his preparation
Yeah,
and his
right. dedication.
dedication. And that's kind of the difference between a star and a superstar, is that it's funny because you can be like the worst player on the team and it's all about your effort and it's all about
Yeah.
you're just trying to hang on.
right.
But also the best player on the team has that same desire. Like they are putting in those hours, and
point.
Ant wants to be the best defensive player on the team. He wants to be the offensive team, and he's got the skill set to do it. And as a long-suffering Timberwolves fan, we saw a lot of superstars come in, or alleged superstars that didn't have that it factor. And it's contagious. He wants to bring along his teammates, and that's fantastic to watch.
Yeah, seeing him as the guy that I think he is more likely to win a championship with the T-Wolves than any of the other, obviously including Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
didn't happen.
Right, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so
So he'll get you closer. Maybe he already has. I don't
yeah, well,
know.
he's been to
has.
2 Western Conference
Yeah.
Finals back-to-back year. That's twice as many as
Did he
they've
had
been
more of
to
a
before.
supporting cast than Kevin Garnett?
Yeah, I would say probably.
Yeah, I would say for sure the first time. I think Cat was better than any of KG's supporting cast at that time. You could argue maybe
But at that point, maybe
Marbury, but
Cat was the star.
yeah,
Kind
that's
of,
the thing too.
it felt like
It was a 1A, 1B kind of thing.
Yeah.
the keys got handed over.
Yeah,
kind
when
of.
Cat got traded.
Well, when he got traded, but it was as an organization that they're like, no, we're going to center around Anthony Edwards, and so we're going to build our team around that because it's 2 different styles of ball.
And you have to do that with salary too. I mean,
you do.
When Cat was traded, I was shocked because I am a big Cat fan,
Yeah.
but you have to look at salary, and there is a salary cap in the NBA. It's a soft cap, but in order to continue, you have to make those moves and stuff
Right.
like that. And now moving on to spreading out that wealth amongst a few more players gives you a little more depth.
And the way they've restructured the salary cap now too in the NBA recently, with the way that the apron system
Yes.
works, it's incredibly, like, to the layman, it's incredibly confusing.
It is.
But it's incredibly restrictive to a team as well.
Yep.
If you start breaking those soft caps, all of a sudden you can't trade or draft people the same anymore.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
It's absolutely and if you have you do have a short window to do it, but you better make sure that window is there because you're gonna, and you see that like Milwaukee that. Was so good for a few years there, but they were up against those hard aprons.
Yep.
And now it's basically they have the Greek Freak and a bunch of average players.
Yeah, like they went all in, tried to get Damian Lillard at the end of his career to go on another run, and that didn't work out.
Yep.
Now they're stuck still paying some of his salary because they had to buy him out of his contract, and he's recovering from a torn Achilles. And like you said, now it's the Greek Freak and Miles Turner, and that's like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just that Alex Rodriguez needs to fork out some more money.
No, I don't know.
It's more than that.
As a longtime Timberwolves fan, I'm not sad to see Glenn Taylor go because some of those.
That process was so drug out.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like that
Good
was
stuff.
that was a terrible end to that.
T-Wolves talk. Every once in a while, you'll catch some of that on Minot
Oh,
Talk.
you betcha. Hey, we could talk about the Vikings too, but that's just depressing.
You
right
want
now.
something that's actually interesting.
Yes.
Carson Wentz is no longer the quarterback there. So,
Yeah, so North Dakota doesn't care. No,
Yeah. It's amazing how
yeah.
it's been tough.
it's a process. We got to trust the process.
Yes. And again, as a Timberwolves fan, I trusted that process for a really long time and it paid off. So
Yeah, 20
maybe
years
in
later.
30, 40 years, the Vikings will be good too. I don't know.
Someday.
in a lifetime span, right? All right. Well,
crossed.
appreciate you coming on today. It's been a great conversation, Scott. So
Absolutely. Thank
Been
you.
fun.
I'll join the sentiments that are in the comment section appreciate what you do in Minot and around town. So,
What's our plan for Thursday?
oh yeah, it's probably gonna be at 8 a.m.
Okay, so yeah, shout
People
out.
will see it out.
That's true. They'll
on,
see
on the Facebook. Let's see it out on the Facebook. But yeah, probably going live an hour early due to scheduling conflicts.
Be like the old school Minot Talks from way
school
back in the
Minot
day when we did it at 8 a.m.
Yeah, what a miserable time. But anyways, all right. We'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Join the decoding community. We love you. Appreciate you for watching this episode.